I never thought my life would turn into this nightmare, but here I am, looking back on how it all started. My name is Emily, and I was just your average woman in her mid-30s, living in a quiet suburb outside Chicago. My husband, Mark, and I had been married for 8 years. We met in college, fell in love over late-night study sessions and cheap pizza. He was charming, ambitious, always the one with big dreams. He worked as a financial advisor, pulling in good money, while I taught English at the local high school. Our life seemed perfect on the outside. A cosy house with a white picket fence, weekend barbecues with neighbours and plans for kids someday. But lately, things felt off. Mark had been distant, spending more time on his phone than with me. He'd snap at little things like if I forgot to buy his favourite coffee. I chalked it up to stress from work, maybe a midlife crisis brewing. Little did I know it was something much darker. It started with small signs. One evening I came home early from grading papers and found him in the garage whispering into his phone. When he saw me, he hung up quick, his face pale like he'd seen a ghost. "Just a client," he said, forcing a smile. I nodded, but my gut twisted. That night, as we lay in bed, I couldn't sleep. His phone buzzed on the nightstand, once, twice. I waited until his breathing steadied, then reached over. The screen lit up with notifications, but it was locked. I knew his passcode from years ago, our wedding date. My fingers trembled as I typed it in. Nothing incriminating at first, just work emails and sports scores. But then I dug deeper into his messages. That's when I found it. A thread with an unknown number, no name saved. The words hit me like a punch. Make it look like an accident, car crash or fall, insurance pays out big. My heart stopped. Was this real? I scrolled up, my breath shallow, the room spinning. The messages went back weeks. Mark had been planning this with someone, details about my routine, my drives to school, even the week breaks on my old sedan. "She's predictable," he wrote, "leaves at 7 a.m. sharp." The reply, "Poison in the coffee? Too risky. Better to tamper with the car." I felt sick, bile rising in my throat. How could the man I loved, the one who held me through my mum's cancer, be plotting my death? For what? Money? The life insurance policy we'd taken out last year, $500,000. It made sense now, his insistence on increasing the coverage. "For our future," he'd said. Tears blurred my vision as I copied the messages to my own phone, hands shaking so bad I almost dropped it. I slipped back into bed, pretending to sleep, but my mind raced. Who was this accomplice? A friend? A lover? I had to find out, but fear gripped me. One wrong move, and I could be the one in a tragic accident. The next morning, I acted normal, pouring his coffee with a smile, even though my stomach churned. "Have a good day, honey," I said, kissing his cheek. He left, and I called in sick to work. Alone in the house, I paced the kitchen, replaying the messages. I needed proof more than texts. I searched his home office, rifling through drawers. Under a stack of files, I found bank statements, large withdrawals, unlabelled, thousands gone. Was he in debt, gambling, or paying someone off? My phone buzzed, a text from him. "Love you, babe, dinner out tonight?" I replied yes, but my mind screamed no. I had to play along, buy time. That afternoon, I drove to a coffee shop downtown, away from our neighbourhood. Sitting in a corner booth, I stared at the copied messages, piecing it together. The accomplice's number traced to a burner phone app, untraceable. But one message mentioned a meeting. Tomorrow at the old warehouse on 5th. My pulse quickened. I could follow him, see who it was. Risky, but what choice did I have? Divorce? He'd never let me go if money was involved. As dusk fell, I prepared. I hid a small recorder in my purse, grabbed pepper spray from the glove box. Mark came home cheerful, suggesting Italian. Over pasta, he talked about work, but his eyes darted. I forced laughs, my fork trembling. Back home, we watched TV, his arm around me. I wanted to scream, confront him, but held back. That night, sleep evaded me again. I dreamed of crashes, blood on the road. Waking in sweat, I checked his phone. More messages. She's suspicious. Speed it up. Reply. Accident this weekend. Hiking trail. Push her off. My blood ran cold. We had a trip planned to the Appalachians. He knew I feared heights. It was perfect for him. I whispered to myself, I won't let this happen. Dawn broke, and I vowed to fight, but fear whispered back. What if I failed? The day dragged. I pretended to pack for the trip, stuffing clothes into a bag while my mind plotted escape. Call the police? No hard evidence yet, just texts that could be a joke. Friends? They'd think I was crazy. I was alone in this. Evening came, and Mark suggested an early bed. I nodded, slipping a sleeping pill into his water, harmless from my insomnia stash. He dozed off fast. I snuck out, keys in hand, driving to the warehouse address. The area was industrial, abandoned buildings looming like shadows. I parked a block away, heart pounding, and crept closer. Through a cracked window I saw him, Mark, arguing with a woman, tall, brunette, familiar, my sister-in-law Lisa. No, couldn't be. But there she was, gesturing wildly. "The insurance is mine too," she hissed. "We split it." Betrayal stabbed deeper. Lisa, Mark's brother's widow, always jealous of our life. They were lovers, plotting together. I recorded it all, voices muffled but clear enough. Back in the car, tears streamed. My world shattered, but anger rose. I wouldn't die for their greed. Returning home, I slipped back into bed unnoticed. Mark stirred, but didn't wake. My mind whirled with the recording. Proof, finally. Lisa's voice echoed. "Make it clean, no traces." How long had this affair gone on? Years? I remembered her at family gatherings, too close to Mark, her hand on his arm, jealousy masked as concern. Morning came, and I feigned excitement for the hike. "Can't wait," I said, buttering toast. He grinned, oblivious. At work, no, I called in again. I transferred the recording to my cloud, safe from him. Then I researched. Anonymous tips to police, but hesitated. What if they dismissed it? I needed more. Digging online, I found Lisa's social media, posts about financial struggles, hints of debt. Mark's withdrawals matched her timeline. They were desperate, using me as payout. Lunchtime, I met a friend, Sarah, at a cafe. "You look awful," she said. I confided a little, marital issues, nothing specific. "Get a lawyer," she advised. Nodding, I left with resolve. Back home, I bugged his car with a cheap tracker from online, delivered same day. Technology on my side. Evening, we drove to the mountains, his hand on my knee. I smiled, insides twisting. At the cabin, we unpacked. "Romantic getaway," he said, kissing me. I pulled away subtly. That night, as he slept, I checked his phone again. New message. "Trail tomorrow, cliff edge, one push." From Lisa. My skin crawled. I forwarded it to Sarah anonymously, with a note. "If something happens to me, investigate Mark. Safety net." Dawn broke misty. We hiked the trail, birds chirping mockingly. Mark led, pointing sights. "Beautiful, right?" I agreed, eyes on his back. At the cliff he paused, wind whipping. "Come closer," he urged. My heart raced. I stepped back instead. "I'm scared." He turned, eyes cold for a split second. "Don't be silly." Then his phone rang. "Lisa," he answered, walking away. I strained to hear. "Do it now." Panic surged. I bolted down the path, legs pumping. He shouted, chasing, "Emily, wait!" Twigs snapped underfoot. I hid behind rocks, breath ragged. He passed, cursing. Phone out, I dialed 911, whispering location. "My husband's trying to kill me." Dispatcher promised help. Minutes felt hours. Mark circled back, calling sweetly. "Babe, where are you?" Footsteps neared. I held breath. Sirens wailed, distant. He froze, then ran toward the car. I emerged, trembling, as cops arrived. "What's going on?" one asked. I spilled everything: messages, recording, tracker data showing meetings with Lisa. They detained Mark, face ashen. "It's a misunderstanding," he yelled, but evidence mounted. Back at the station, I gave statements. Lisa was arrested too, her apartment searched. Poison vials, car tampering tools. Affair confirmed by emails. Motive: Mark's gambling debts, Lisa's complicity for half the insurance. I sat in the waiting room, numb, betrayed by family, but alive. Friends rallied, Sarah hugging me. "You're safe now." Weeks passed in a blur, divorce papers filed, house sold. I moved to a small apartment in the city, starting over. Therapy helped unpack the trauma, trust issues deep, but strength grew. I shared my story, anonymously online, warning others. Responses flooded, women in similar binds. "You saved me," one wrote. Purpose emerged from pain. Mark and Lisa faced trial, pleading guilty to conspiracy. Sentences loomed heavy. I testified, voice steady, eyes on him. "You almost broke me, but didn't." Closure? Not fully. Scars remained, but hope flickered. Life continued, one day at a time. I dated cautiously, laughed again. Miracles in survival. "You're not alone," I reminded myself, "and neither are you." Wait, that was too quick. Let me expand on the aftermath. After the arrest, the media frenzy hit, local news dubbing it the insurance plot. I hid from cameras, staying with Sarah. Nightmares plagued me, falling off cliffs, Mark's hands pushing. Therapy sessions delved into childhood trust, marriage red flags ignored. "Love blinded you," the counsellor said. True. I quit teaching temporarily, took a writing course, pouring emotions into stories like this one. Support groups connected me with survivors, abuse, betrayal. Their tales mirrored mine, fueling resilience. Financially, I claimed the insurance myself, irony sweet. Invested wisely, started a blog. Women's Silent Battles. Subscribers grew, sharing hope. Mark's letters from jail begged forgiveness. I was desperate, I burned them. Lisa's family disowned her. Trial day, I faced them in court. Evidence overwhelming. Texts, recordings, financial trails, guilty verdicts, 20 years each. Relief washed over. Outside rain fell cleansing. I walked free, umbrella up, future open. Dating a kind man now, no rush. Dreams of kids someday on my terms. Strength from tragedy. Little miracles. Sunrise coffees, friend calls, quiet evenings. Life's not perfect, but mine again. If you're reading this, hold on. Hope waits. Looking back now, with the clarity that only time can bring, I realised the real turning point in my nightmare wasn't just stumbling upon those damning messages on Mark's phone. It was the moment I decided to stop being the victim and start fighting back in ways he could never predict. After the chaos on that hiking trail, where I barely escaped his push off the cliff, and with both Mark and Lisa hauled off in handcuffs awaiting their trial, I fooled myself into thinking the worst was over. But oh, how wrong I was. The shadows of their plot didn't vanish with the slam of prison doors. They stretched longer, creeping into every corner of my new life. Paranoia became my constant companion, a sharp-edged shadow that followed me everywhere. Every creak in the floorboards of my tiny city apartment made my heart race. Every sidelong glance from a stranger on the street sent chills down my spine. I bolted the doors with extra locks I'd installed myself, the kind with heavy chains that rattled like warnings. I even started carrying a taser in my purse, its weight a small comfort against the unknown. Therapy sessions helped peel back some layers of the trauma, but trust, that was shattered into pieces too small to glue back together. How do you rebuild when the man who vowed to love you forever had schemed to end your life for a payout? One sleepless night, as rain pelted the windows like accusing fingers, I found myself sorting through the last of Mark's belongings that the police had returned. Old boxes of junk mostly, ties I hated, cufflinks from his dad. But buried at the bottom of one, tucked under a stack of faded receipts, was a small flash drive I'd never seen before. My hands trembled as I plugged it into my laptop, the screen glowing eerie in the dark room. Files popped up, spreadsheets detailing massive debts, emails to underground lenders with threats of broken knees if payments lagged. Mark had borrowed deep, tens of thousands from loan sharks who didn't take sorry for an answer. And there, in black and white, was the plan. My death as the golden ticket out. But it went further. Lisa wasn't his only partner in this hell. A name kept appearing, Victor Russo, a greasy mechanic with a criminal record longer than my arm. "Fix her brakes," Mark had emailed him. "Make it subtle." My old sedan, the one I'd complained about for months, that was supposed to be my coffin on wheels. Bile rose in my throat as I read on, details of payments, timelines. Russo was the hired hand, promised a cut for making it look accidental. My pulse thundered in my ears. I couldn't just sit on this. I called Detective Ramirez at dawn, my voice shaky but determined. "I found more evidence," I whispered, as if the walls could hear. He met me at the station that morning, his face grim as he scrolled through the drive. "This nails Russo," he said, nodding. A warrant went out fast, and by afternoon they had him in custody. Russo cracked like cheap glass under questioning, spilling everything. Mark had approached him at a dive bar, desperate and drunk, offering 10 grand to sabotage my car. "He swore it was just insurance fraud," Russo whined. "No one was supposed to get hurt bad." Liar. The charges stacked up. Attempted murder, conspiracy. But as Ramirez dug deeper, it unravelled a web. Russo hinted at a bigger network, desperate folks tangled in debts, trading favours like death plots. Was Mark just a pawn in something larger? The investigation ballooned, pulling in feds. I felt exposed, like a target painted on my back. Meanwhile, I tried to piece my life together. I joined a self-defense class at the local gym, the kind where they teach you to strike hard and run fast. My muscles ached after every session, but it felt good, empowering, like reclaiming control. There, I met other women with their own scars, some visible, some buried deep. One, Mia, became a quick friend. Over coffee after class, she shared her story. An ex who stalked her for years, leaving notes that escalated to slashed tyres. "Stay vigilant," she warned, her eyes serious. "These things don't end clean." Her words stuck like glue. As the trial date loomed closer, the threats began trickling in. First, anonymous phone calls in the dead of night. Heavy breathing, then a raspy voice hissing, "Drop the case or accidents happen." I hung up. But sleep fled. Then came the mail, envelopes with no return address, filled with magazine cutouts spelling, "You're next." My hands shook as I handed them to Ramirez. Traces led nowhere, burner phones, public mailboxes. He assigned a patrol car to park outside my building at night, its lights a faint reassurance. But fear gnawed at me, a constant ache. Desperate for answers, I dipped into the insurance money I'd claimed, sweet irony, and hired a private investigator named Jack. Grizzled ex-cop type, he chain-smoked and talked in grunts. "I'll follow the leads," he promised. Weeks later, he called with dirt, Mark's prison communications, smuggled notes in code to old associates. "Finish what we started," one read. Chills raced down my spine. The plot wasn't dead, it was hibernating, waiting for a chance. Jack tailed a few suspects, lowlifes from Mark's gambling circles. One night, he snapped photos of them meeting in a shadowy alley, exchanging envelopes. "They're planning something," he said. My world tilted again. How many people wanted me gone? Court day finally arrived, a storm cloud hanging over the city. I prepared my testimony obsessively, rehearsing in front of the bathroom mirror until my reflection looked as exhausted as I felt. "You got this," Sarah, my loyal friend, said over the phone. In the courtroom, the air was thick with tension. Mark sat there, handcuffed, looking gaunt and defeated, his eyes flicking to me with a mix of hate and plea. Lisa sneered from her seat, her beauty faded under the harsh lights. Russo took the stand first, turning state's evidence for a lighter sentence. "Mark pulled the strings," he testified, voice quivering. "He wanted her gone clean." The cross-examination was brutal. The defense lawyer painted me as a paranoid wife, twisting the messages into harmless jokes between lovers. But the evidence held like steel. Texts, recordings, the flash drive. The jury deliberated for 2 agonizing days. I paced the hallway, coffee going cold in my hands. When the verdict came, guilty on all counts for Mark and Lisa, 20 years for Russo, relief crashed over me like a wave. But it was hollow, no fireworks or closure, just emptiness. Outside the courthouse, media microphones thrust at me. "How do you feel, Emily?" one shouted. I paused, rain starting to fall. "Alive," I said simply. "That's enough for now." In the months that followed, life inched towards something like normal. I took my first solo trip, driving to the beaches of California, where the ocean's roar drowned out the echoes in my head. The salt air soothed raw nerves. I started outlining my memoir, agents already sniffing around with offers. My blog, Women's Silent Battles, exploded online, thousands subscribing overnight. Comments flooded in. Your story saved me from ignoring the signs. It gave me purpose, turning pain into a beacon. I even met a man, Alex, at a quiet book club meetup. Kind eyes, gentle laugh. No pressure, just easy talks over wine. We dated slow, building on honesty. But the past still haunted, whispering doubts. One night, Jack the PI called late. "Mark put out a hit on you from inside," he said flatly. "Informants tipped it off, foiled now." I sat frozen, phone slipping. Shaken to my core, I upgraded everything, moved to a gated community, more cameras, even a guard dog named Shadow. Therapy ramped up, unpacking the endless layers of betrayal and fear. As the dust settled, normalcy crept in like dawn light. I returned to teaching, the students' fresh energy a balm for my soul. I volunteered at women's shelters, teaching classes on spotting red flags, documenting suspicions. "Knowledge is your shield," I tell them. Mia and I grew closer, our friendship forged in fire. Dreams shifted. No rush for kids, but ideas of fostering flickered. Little miracles appeared, a perfect sunset, a call from an old friend, quiet evenings with a book. If you're lost in your own darkness right now, reach out. Light always finds a way through the cracks. But let's dig deeper into that PI investigation to really understand the web. Jack didn't stop at prison notes. He infiltrated the underground loan ring haunting Chicago's underbelly. Mark owed over 50 grand, interest compounding like a cancer. Lisa had dragged him in, her own bad real estate flips leaving her drowning. Russo was just the tip, the muscle guy who tampered with cars for quick cash. But the big fish was Carlo, the ring's boss, a ghost in tailored suits. Jack shadowed him to smoky back rooms, eavesdropping on deals. "Carlo ordered the threats to you," Jack reported one rainy afternoon. "Scare tactics to make you drop testimony." Police raided based on his tips, busting the operation wide open. Carlo flipped fast, implicating Mark in deeper schemes, fraud rings, even a prior accident cover-up. My name was scrubbed from any hit lists. Safety, at last, felt real. With the ring dismantled, I breathed easier. The podcast version of my blog launched, Surviving Shadows, with episodes on betrayal, resilience, guest survivors sharing raw tales. It hit the charts quick. Alex proposed subtly during a picnic, sliding a ring across the blanket. "Whenever you're ready," he said. Tears came, happy ones. Our wedding was small, intimate, friends only, vows heavy with promises of truth and protection. honeymoon in Hawaii, where waves crashed like applause for my survival. Scars don't vanish overnight, though. Nightmares still visit occasionally, but they're fading echoes. Strength defines me now, a quiet force. From that one fateful discovery on a phone, tragedy birthed triumph. You're not alone in your fight. Hold tight. Hope is coming. As the dust from the trials began to settle, I dared to believe my life could stabilise, that the horror was finally boxed away like those old belongings in storage. But fate, that cruel joker, had more twists in store. It was about a year later when the first letter arrived. No stamp, no return address, just slipped under my door in the dead of night. "It's not over," it read in scrawled handwriting I recognised instantly as Mark's. "Watch your back." My blood turned to ice. How? He was in prison, monitored. I called Ramirez right away, and he confirmed. Smuggled out through a corrupt guard. Paranoia flared back to life, hotter than before. Alex, now my rock, held me through the nights, whispering, "We'll handle this together." We did. Installing top-tier cameras, a full alarm system that buzzed my phone at the slightest motion. But the unease clung like fog, making every shadow suspect. Then came the morning my car refused to start in the driveway. I popped the hood, but mechanics aren't my thing. The tow guy found it quick, wires sliced clean through. "Not wear and tear," he said. "Someone did this." Tucked under the driver's seat was a folded note. Accident waiting to happen. My stomach dropped. Who was still out there carrying Mark's grudge? I reported it, fingerprints dusted. Nothing, but it screamed inside job. Jack the PI was back on payroll in hours. "Prison contacts," he muttered. "I'll dig." He uncovered Eddie Klein, Mark's former cellmate, released months prior with ties to Carlo's crumbling ring. Jack tracked Eddie to a run-down bar on the city's edge where lowlifes nursed beers and secrets. I insisted on tagging along, disguised in a hoodie and baseball cap, heart-hammering. From a corner booth, nursing a soda, I watched Eddie boast to a buddy, "That broad thinks she's safe now? Mark's got plans." I hit record on my phone, capturing every slurred word, handed it straight to the cops. Eddie was in cuffs by dawn, confessing under lights. Mark had stashed funds in hidden accounts, paying Eddie to scare her off. But the intent was clear, escalation to worse. Charges flew, harassment, ongoing conspiracy. Mark's sentence got tacked on another decade for orchestrating from behind bars. Relief washed over, but anger simmered hot. I needed confrontation, closure on my terms. For the first time, I visited the prison, signing in with shaky hands. Through the thick glass partition, Mark looked older, broken. "Emily?" he said, voice tinny over the phone. I stared him down, cold as steel. "Why, after everything?" He leaned forward, smirking faintly. "You ruined my life." No apology, no regret, just blame. I hung up the receiver mid-sentence, walking out with my head high. No longer the victim, I was the survivor who stared down the monster. Life started blooming after that, tentative at first, then in full colour. My podcast hit new heights, with episodes drawing in experts on domestic violence, their insights weaving with listener stories. Alex and I adopted a rescue dog, a big mutt named Bear, whose barks became our early warning system. My circle of friends expanded. Mia threw barbecues where laughter drowned out old fears, but the twists weren't done. In a routine checkup, the doctor smiled. "You're pregnant." Surprised joy exploded, tears with Alex, hugs that lingered. But caution ruled. I kept appointments low-key, varied routes. The pregnancy journey was a mix of wonder and worry. Morning sickness hit like waves, triggering flashbacks to that cliff edge. Therapy adapted, focusing on maternal fears, building mental shields. Alex attended every class, holding my hand through breathing exercises. Ultrasounds were magic. That tiny heartbeat thumping strong, a symbol of new life from ashes. Birthday came fierce, labour pains that tested every ounce of my strength. But then she was here, our daughter, Hope, crying loud and fierce. Cradling her in the hospital room, Alex at my side, love overwhelmed the past. Postpartum brought blues, hormones crashing, but my support network caught me, friends with meals, Mia with advice. Hope grew fast, her giggles the soundtrack to healing. Years slipped by in a blur of milestones, Hope as a toddler, wobbling steps that made us cheer. I wrote sequels to my book, advocating for tougher laws on domestic conspiracies. Testified before Congress, my voice steady. We need better protections for the silent victims. Media dubbed me an advocate, a role I embraced humbly. One day, breaking news hit, Mark shanked in a prison riot, dead on the scene. Shock rippled through me, no grief, just a strange numbness. Lisa cracked soon after, confessing every detail in a bid for parole. It was denied, my testimony sealing it. Peace settled like a warm blanket. Now, life brims with fullness, family mornings, purpose-driven days. From those dark messages to this light, tragedy's gift was transformation. Emotions still run raw sometimes, but hope always prevails. If you're reading this, tangled in your own web, know this. Strength is inside you, waiting to rise. Little miracles happen every day, grab them. To really flesh out that pregnancy and beyond, let's linger on the details. Those early months, nausea twisted my gut, mirroring the betrayal's sickness. I journaled fears. What if shadows follow her? Alex read books aloud, his voice soothing. We painted the nursery soft greens, symbols of growth. Labour stretched 18 hours, pain blurring time. But Hope's first cry cut through like dawn. Nursing her, watching her tiny fists wave, rebuilt my trust in vulnerability. The book deal expanded, tours across states, signing copies with notes to the fighters. Impact echoed, women emailed, I left because of you. Foundation launched, safe shadows, funding shelters, hotlines. Hope's first birthday, cake smashed, laughter ringing. Alex retired early, more time for us. Golden years whisper promises. Legacy solid, stories amplified, women's voices lifted. Miracles in the mundane, coffee steam, child's hug, quiet nights. Believe in your power. Dreams are yours to claim. With Mark's death and Lisa rotting in her cell, I stepped fully into my rebirth, shedding the last skins of fear like a snake in spring. But echoes of the past lingered, faint but persistent, testing my resolve. Hope grew into a bright-eyed girl, her innocent questions piercing. "Mommy, where's my real daddy?" We told her age-appropriate truths, emphasising Alex's role. He'd adopted her legally, our family unbreakable. Yet I still scanned crowds instinctively, a habit etched deep. One crisp evening, as leaves crunched underfoot, a knock echoed through our home. A stranger stood there, envelope in hand. "From Lisa," he said flatly before vanishing into the dusk. Inside, a handwritten apology, tear-stained. I was consumed by jealousy and greed. "Forgive me." I crumpled it, flames in the fireplace claiming it. Forgiveness? Not yet, maybe never. Jack the PI, ever vigilant, warned of loose ends from the old ring. Minor players still active, nursing grudges. Sure enough, petty threats surfaced, tyres slashed in the parking lot, graffiti on my car reading traitor. Police handled them swift, but it rattled me. Life pressed on regardless. My second book, Shadows Lifted, hit shelves to rave reviews, tours packing auditoriums with survivors seeking solace. I met so many, women with eyes like mine, stories of escape that mirrored my own. Bonds formed quick, a sisterhood of the scarred. Back home, routine grounded me, school drop-offs for hope, podcast recordings in my cosy office. One episode dove into forgiveness, debated hotly with guests. "It's for you, not them," one said. I concluded softly. Not always required, but healing when chosen. Twists kept coming, though. An email arrived from a woman claiming to be Mark's half-sister from a pre-marriage affair he'd hidden. "I want to share stories," she wrote. Jenna. We met cautiously in a public cafe, neutral ground. She looked like him, same sharp jaw, but her eyes held pain, not malice. "He abandoned us too," she shared over coffee, pulling out old photos. Bitter laughs escaped as we traded tales of his deceit. An unexpected ally emerged, tentative bond growing into family holidays. Hope's birthdays became joyous anchors, parties with balloons, her face lit by candles. Alex gifted us a family trip to Europe, adventures that washed away lingering dust. Paris streets, Eiffel Tower glowing at night, Hope's wide-eyed wonder mirrored my own rediscovery of joy. Advocacy reached new peaks, a TED Talk invitation, theme turning pain into power. Prep was nerve-wracking, scripts revised endlessly. On stage, lights blinded, but my voice held steady. I wove the tale, from phone messages to cliff chase, trial triumphs. The audience leaned in, silence thick. Applause erupted thunderous at the end, Q&A buzzing with inspired questions. Post-talk, emails flooded my inbox, offers, thanks, more stories. My foundation expanded, funding new shelters across states. Family vacation, wrapped with Rome's ancient stones, history reminding me of resilience. Back home, normalcy tasted sweet. Gardening in the yard, planting seeds as metaphors for growth. One last scare shook it, an anonymous email. His legacy lives on. Traced to a bitter ex-associate, arrested quick, the final gasp of the old nightmare. Peace felt true now, a steady hum. Life's tapestry wove dark threads into something beautiful, stronger for the contrast. From that one discovery, an epic journey unfolded. Strength wasn't born, it was forged in fire. To expand fully, let's delve into that sibling meeting and TED experience. Jenna and I started slow. Emails first, then calls sharing laughs over Mark's flaws. Holidays blended families, Thanksgiving tables groaning with food, stories flowing. Forgiveness edged in, not for him, but for us, reclaiming lost connections. TED prep consumed weeks, pacing living room, timing delivery. Stage fright peaked backstage, but deep breaths centered me. Story poured out cinematic, suspense in the messages, drama on the trail. Impact hit hard, viral clips, millions viewing. "You gave me courage," comments read. Foundation thrived, grants for therapy programs, hotlines staffed round clock. Personal wins, Hope's school plays, Alex's surprise dates. Reflection evenings, journaling gratitude. Scars faded to faint lines, reminders of victory. As the years unfolded like pages in a well-worn book, my story evolved into a legend whispered in advocacy circles, a beacon for those still in the dark. Hope blossomed into a teenager, sharp-witted and kind, fully aware of our past. "Mum, you're a hero," she'd say, hugging me after reading my books. I blushed, but deep down I knew it was true. Survival made me one. Alex's hair greyed gracefully, our love deepening with every shared glance, every quiet evening. The podcast transformed, now featuring global interviews with experts and survivors, episodes downloaded millions strong. A new chapter beckoned. I ran for local office, platforms centred on women's safety and justice reform. Campaign trails were gruelling, door-knocking in rain, debates under hot lights, shaking hands with skeptics. But passion fueled me. Win night exploded in cheers, hope leaping into my arms. In office, I pushed bills through, stiffer penalties for insurance fraud tied to violence, better protections for victims in court. Changes rippled, saving lives I'd never meet. Personally, Jenna became family bedrock. Holidays lively with her kids playing with hope. Forgiveness, partial, a gift to myself, releasing the last bitterness. Final reflections often came at dawn, coffee in hand, watching sunrise paint the sky. From that fateful phone snoop to this empowered existence, transformation complete. Tragedy birthed unbreakable strength. Emotion stayed intense, but hope reigned supreme. To detail richly, the campaign demanded everything: strategy meetings till midnight, speeches honed sharp, opponents slung. Mud, trauma tourist, but voters saw truth. Victory speech: for every silent battle, we fight on. Office days buzzed, lobbying, signing laws that upped fraud sentences, funded victim services. Podcast hit a 1 million sub milestone. Celebration episode with Mia, full circle of friendship. Hope's high school graduation, cap tossed high, my tears proud. College bound, she chose journalism. To tell stories like yours, Mum. Alex retired, freeing time for travels. Greece's islands, Japan's cherry blossoms. Golden years shimmered ahead, rich with plans.